Tell me.
Alright, yeah, continue.
Huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
I lived with my grandmother in Washington Heights, and they found that because of her age, it was too difficult for her to take care of me. I was a little wild. I stayed with her for a while and entered PS 169 rather, which was on 169th Street and Audubon Avenue at the time. I was in the first grade. I have to go back and tell you, when I was 5, I attended PS 5 in Astoria, and I was in the first grade there, and then that was as far as I went into school. I moved to Washington Heights later on and was in the second grade or the third grade. Actually, in 1934, I attended and went to live at the Monument School in Pawling, New York, a boarding school. And I attended the second grade there. I remember making an Indian drum during summer. That was a time when I also went to a camp called Camp Contacook in Contacook, New Hampshire. I went with my Aunt Esther, who was a sister of my mother. My mother, by the way, had two sisters, Rose Cushman and Esther Cushman. Both of them were unmarried for quite a long time. Unfortunately, Rose ended up in a mental institution too. She was a public relations specialist in her private life, but apparently she had some mental difficulties also and ended up in a hospital. I only saw her once when I was a young adult. I had never seen her very much before then or after then. Alright, let's see. Now, after the Monument School, which was in 1934, I remember two of my roommates in my room where I lived, one Janet and one Don. Janet and Don and I were all the same age, except they had earlier birthdays. Janet was on June 14th, Don was on July 2nd. Mine was on November 7th. So technically I was 6 while they were 7, and I would turn 7 in the fall. After that, I went back to live with my grandmother temporarily, and shortly afterward, and I attended, as I said, PS 169 for a while. In the fall of 35, early in the fall, possibly about late September, they found a place for me elsewhere, so I was shuttled around quite a bit. It was in the East Bronx in the Pelham Bay section. It was called the Roslyn School, which was really a home for children whose parents were unable to take care of them. I went to PS 71 where I was enrolled. I stayed at the Roslyn School until 1939. In 1939, I had to prepare for my bar mitzvah since I was 12 years old. And I was, after soliciting various groups and families, my Aunt Sally located a family that would take me in called the Nussbaums. We lived at Mahan Avenue, 1803 for a while, and then almost immediately we moved to 2968 Daniel Street, both in the Pelham Bay section of the Bronx. I attended, as I said, PS 71 and stayed there until I graduated in June of 1941.